guys, Eddie back with Couch Talk. Welcome back to the show. If it's your first time with me, welcome to the show. Guys, please hit like, please hit subscribe, turn your notifications on. It really helps me out with the algorithm, and I need all the help I can get. I want to take a few moments to discuss the newest in a long line of abuses to America's freedoms, and that is the Restrict Act. As you know, the attempt to ban TikTok has been on the docket for some time now, and we've been trying to push that through, even though there's plenty of content creators that don't really want to see that happen. And, you know, I gotta say that this is one of those situations where my opinions of TikTok are decidedly negative. I'd probably be pretty happy to see it banned. It would at least give my children one less thing to be in a vegetative state over for hours at a time as they look through video after video after video. I'm like, all right, kids, it's time to go outside and play. And they're like, just one more, Daddy, just one more. Oh my God, it drives me crazy. So I hate TikTok. And I also know that the material that tends to be on TikTok here in the United States is significantly more detrimental than the content that tends to be on in its homeland of China, right? But we need to understand, like with basically everything that America does legislatively, it's never just one primary thing that we're trying to manage with a piece of legislation. It's always got earmarks. It's always got loopholes and little, trade-offs between, secret handshaking assholes behind their back. And I got to say, this one has perhaps the most insidious and most totalitarian piece of legislation that I have actually ever seen during my life in the United States of America. And that is the Restrict Act. And I'm going to tell you something about this Restrict Act. First, it piggybacks off of the Patriot Act, which is another piece of legislation that I really don't like. I remember liking the Patriot Act at the time because I thought that, this will protect us from terrorists. And I didn't know much about it. And I wasn't as politically savvy back then, so I didn't know what I was really getting myself into, what freedoms I was really signing away. But I've already felt the sting of the Patriot Act. But one of the things that the Patriot Act did was it defined something that's known as critical infrastructure, which is basically like any kind of substance or asset or piece of the government or piece of the economy, anything that's a section of America that it labels is basically too important to be risked, right? So, like, we've got our freedoms, right? We've got our freedoms, and our freedoms are, we never take the life, liberty, and property of somebody without due process, unless it has to do with critical infrastructure, right? And this Restrict Act would be another extension of the removal of those freedoms. And basically what it does is, in addition to banning TikTok and setting up a kind of like something similar to the Great Firewall that China has, where, they can basically just tune out anything that they need to. This basically gives the Commerce Department vast amounts of power to limit, and they call it mitigating, the risk of any transaction between anything that could be deemed a foreign actor that is, I forget the exact terminology, but basically anything that that could be deemed a foreign adversary, which is open to the discretion of the Commerce Department. And at this point, eventually they would just answer to whoever's in power, right? Because the cabinet answers to the presidency. So if Biden declares something a foreign adversary, and I'm not even sure that they would need Biden to act. I don't even know that they would need the presidency to act it seems like basically anyone could be declared as a foreign adversary by the Commerce Department at any time, and then the Commerce Department could automatically just start limiting the life, liberty, and property as it pertains to transactions with that foreign adversary. And not only does it have vast amount of power to shut down our freedom of speech with those people, our freedom of press with regard to those people. Can you imagine if, like, we get a piece of information from a foreign adversary and then all of a sudden we can't use it because that's a foreign adversary and we can't risk that? Can you imagine if we were talking to somebody and we're just, friendly discussion, friendly negotiation, but that discussion could be deemed, a political campaign inhibitor or a political campaign contribution. And that discussion could be shut down because it could be risking contact with a foreign adversary. Can you imagine, like, if you think about the stuff that took place during the 2016 election where there was some Russian kind of, I guess I want to say influence is the best way to say it. I mean, I don't know if, how deep that runs, and nobody does and nobody ever will probably, but there was certainly some communication that was going on between some Russian entities and America in some form. Whether or not that was just passing along of information that turned out to be true anyway, or not is hard to say. But I'll tell you the truth, though. According to this act, they could shut that down in a second. It's like almost like they could basically carve out America away from the outside world at any point in time, but only when they want to, right? Like only when it's beneficial to whoever happens to have control of the Commerce Department at that time. And the punishments for trying to have these freedoms through this act, like to use a VPN to try to subvert it, or to try to contact when contact would no longer be allowed, to try to have a transaction where a transaction would no longer be allowed, carries these outrageous penalties, like 20 years, up to $1 million fine. Like basically, if anybody tries to practice their own liberties with regard to anything that is considered a foreign adversary, you lose your life. That's it. Your whole life is gone. You'll lose every asset you own. You will spend the rest of your life in jail. Guys, this is unbelievable. And I think that just like the Patriot Act, they are trying to utilize our fears with China, with the impending doom that it seems we may be marching toward, to try to get us to sign away our freedoms. And dear God, please do not let them sign away any more freedoms. Because guys, you'll never get it back. Patriot Act's been here for what, 20 years? Has anybody seen any of those freedoms back? They're never giving it back. We have got to start fighting for every inch when it comes to freedom in this country. And every inch of freedom lost is an additional power allotted to government. That's always how it goes. There's always going to be that power vacuum. Anytime we the people sacrifice it, the government's going to snatch it up right away. So please do not give away any more freedoms. Let me know what you guys think. This is blowing my mind. And if this goes through, it already is affecting my business. It's already showing that I may lose some of my clients that are scattered throughout the world. Yeah, believe it or not, I'm an international businessman. I don't do a lot of international business, but some of those countries are definitely considered foreign adversaries. So please, please don't sign this freedom away. Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you next time on Couch Talk.